Hey class, so some of you have been asking for some additional help on factoring by grouping. So here is another video on factoring by grouping. So the very first thing we want to be sure is we want to be sure that our equation is in standard form. Okay, so we want to be in standard form. What does that mean? Well, we need to be going from the largest exponent to the smallest. So 3, so this term is first. 2, then this term. 1, so then this term. And then our constant always goes on the end. So this is in standard form. Okay, secondly, we want to group by 2. So we're going to group. And we're going to use, when we group things, we use a grouping symbol known as a parentheses. So we're going to group by 2. So 1, 2. And then we'll group the second 2. 1. So one group, and then this is the second group. Now, third, we're going to factor out a GCF, greatest common factor. So this out of each group. Okay, so when we look at these two, start with the number. Okay, so we know 2 goes into both of these. So that is a common factor. But we want the greatest common factor. So the greatest number that goes into 4 and into 8 is 4. Okay, so we're going to factor out a 4. Now let's look at the variables next. Here we have 3 x's, okay? And here we have 2 x's. This means x times x times x. This means x times x, okay? So when you factor out a variable, you think, how many x's can I take from this? And how many can I take from this? Well, we could take 1 from both. Okay, but can we take more than 1? Could we take 2? Yes, we have 3 of them here. So we could take 2 from this one. Could we take 2 from this one? Yes, we have 2 here. Okay, so let's try 3. Can we take 3 from this one? Yes. Can we take 3 from this one? No. So the most x's we could take is 2. So we're going to take 2 from both. Because here we have 3 and here we have 2. Okay, so now we're going to start by dividing. So in order to factor, remember factoring means to divide. So 4 divided by 4 is 1. Okay? And when you're dealing with a variable, you subtract. Okay, you subtract. So here we had 3, and we factored out 2. So 3 minus 2 is 1. Okay, let's divide. 8 divided by 4 is 2. Now here we have 2 x's and we took 2 x's away, so that means we don't have any left. None. All right, let's start the process again. So here we're going to factor out the greatest common factor, and so we know that 9 goes into 9 and into 18 evenly, but notice it's negative. If it's negative, we want to factor out a negative greatest common factor if it's negative. So we're going to factor out a negative 9. It doesn't have a variable in common, so we just leave that alone. So let's divide. So negative 9 divided by negative 9 is positive 1. X comes down. Negative 18 divided by negative 9 is positive 2. Now remember what I told you, or what that video told you, is you kind of know you're on the right track is if these two come out to be the same. X plus 2 and x plus 2. Okay, so now the fourth step is to take these two numbers out here on front and put them together. So these two GCFs are going to go together in one factor. These are your GCFs. So your GCFs go into one factor. I know this is a little bit confusing, but I'm doing the best that I can. So these two go into one, and then this one, these are the same, so they just come down and they make their own factor, just like this. Basically what we're doing is we're factoring out an x plus 2, which would you could put it first or you could put it second, doesn't matter. So this is the difference of two squares, which I already taught you. So this is going to break down to 2x plus 3 and 2x minus 3. And then this one comes down. And now we're completely factored out. This is not always going to happen. If this was 4x squared plus 9, then you could not do this. This difference of two squares only works when it's a subtraction. So I hope that this helps a little bit. And all I ask, is that you just turn your work in, do the very best that you can, and thank you so much for trying. I appreciate it very much.